Good. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. So day and night, our firefighters work hard to respond to emergency calls to keep our city safe. And last year alone, to give you an idea of just how hardworking the New Haven Fire Department is, they responded to over 36,000 calls and 110 house fires or building fires. Thanks to the incredible discipline and training of our fire department, our firefighters return home from every shift safely to their families. Though tragically, as we all know, there are unusual and rare times where that is unfortunately not the case. We've lost in the history of the New Haven Fire Department 61 individuals. And of course, most recently, New Haven firefighter Ricardo Torres Jr., who on May 12th in 2021 passed away in the 190 Valley Street fire. Firefighter Torres' memory is fresh in our hearts, and of course is fresh in the memory of all of the members of the New Haven Fire Department, his family, his wife and now widow Erica, his two children, Crew and Oliver, and his other family members, his mom Kathy. I think we all that were here at that time remember that day and will never forget it. After a funeral service, after remembrance services every year, including one very recently, a beautiful memorial has been created outside of the Dixwell Station, and a street corner was named after Ricardo Torres Jr. as well. And I think that those continued reflections after 4 years and efforts by the New Haven Fire Department really give honor to firefighter Torres' dedication to our city and how we care deeply for not just the individual that we lost, but for their family. Part of honoring firefighter Torres' death as well is by learning from the tragedy and seeing if there are things that we can do better to work hard to make sure that something like this never happens again. And that's what the National Institute for Occupational Safety, or NIOSH, is designed to do in their work with coming up with a report that evaluates the incident and does a number of interviews, does a site visit, and then provides a recommendation that can assist not only the New Haven Fire Department, but other fire departments across the country to prevent incidents like this from occurring. These types of reports happen every time there's a line of duty death. The report that is released today is a 30-page report. It reiterates a lot of what was in the state police report that was completed years ago. And it also includes a number of recommendations that are primarily focused on improved training, some suggestions on improved standard operating practices and procedures. By and large, we have already implemented most of the recommendations, or some of them are also in process. There's a total of 9 recommendations in the report that will be published online today and has already been shared by email to the members of the fire department. We've learned a lot from the report, and we hope other fire departments learn from the report as well, and I think that we will be stronger because of it. I want to finish by just thanking the Chief, Chief Alston, for his work, the command staff, Assistant Chief Samuel, and Assistant Chief Coughlin, CAO Justin McCarthy, the members of the fire union, including Miguel Rosado, the president, who you're going to hear from shortly, and the members of the New Haven Fire Department. This has been a very, very difficult few years for the fire department. I've found it challenging, and I didn't even have the privilege to know Ricardo. I can only imagine how difficult it has been for you all, but you stand up and you come to work every day because of your dedication to the city. This report, I hope, will provide some closure. It's been a long time in coming. We're grateful for your service every day. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, I'd like to express my thanks and support to the family of Ricardo. We continue to be here for you with whatever you need, and we're grateful for you. I'm going to hand it over to Miguel Rosado.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd just like to reiterate a couple of things. This day has been a long time coming. It's been 4 years since the passing of Ricardo Torres Jr. I want to make sure that his name is not lost in vain, that we live on and continue his legacy. There's a lot of recommendations in the report that I look forward to working with both the city and the chief's office to make sure that they're implemented to make this a safer department, not only for the citizens, but for the great men and women of this department who give their bodies and lives every day, as you can see, as Mr. Ricardo Torres Jr. ultimately paid the price and his life was sacrificed on May 12th, 2021. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, President Rosado. I also want to thank some of the members who are in the House right now, some of them who were actually at the scene and actively involved in the rescue of our two members, down members during that fire. Before I get into any statement or recommendations, I just want to thank the entire community, both the fire community and our New Haven community, both through the alders, the administration, for the outpouring of support for us during this arduous time of moving through not only grief and healing, but through resolve. Making our department safer and better. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership and support during this time. My command staff, as the mayor has mentioned, including the current CAO, who was the administrative chief at that time, who went through this with us as well. This has not been an easy time. 4 years is a long time to wait for a report like this, and to have that hang over a department is concerning. It's not only concerning for me, it's concerning for fire chiefs across the country as we look to the future of what's going to happen with NIOSH. And so before I get off on a tangent such as that, I'm just going to go to my prepared statement. On May 12th, 2021, Ricardo Torres made the ultimate sacrifice while responding to 190 Valley Street for a fully involved fire. The rescue of one female occupant. His bravery and dedication and selflessness will never be forgotten. Lieutenant Samad Rankins was seriously injured that day and continues to heal. We owe it to them and to every firefighter who risks their life daily to learn everything that we can and to act decisively from what we know. We honor their service by facing the truth, learning from this tragedy, and committing to actions that protect all members of our department moving forward. Today, I'll address the findings of the final NIOSH report and outline the specific actions that we have began to take prior to, during, and seek to continue to improve on. We don't wait in the city of New Haven for what to do, we act. We lead from the front in this department, and I'm proud for the leadership in this department. This fire took place on May 12th, and it was a 2.5-story balloon frame fire, meaning that the fire, which originated in the basement, rather easily can travel to the upper floors and including the attic. The challenges were disoriented crews, rapid fire changing conditions, difficult egress and entry on the initial alarm, and a delayed Mayday communications. The reason why I bring those up is if you have the report, and I know that it is now published, those are the key contributing factors that that NIOSH recommended to us. Scene size up and risk assessment, crew integrity, air management and firefighter safety and survival, basement below grade fire operations, Mayday management, rapid intervention crew and team, incident safety officers, incident command technicians, and professional development. I know that sounds like a lot of jargon to a lot of folks. It is not to us. It goes directly to the recommendations that they had. Those being initial and ongoing size-ups. A size-up is when the initial companies get on the scene and they literally size up a building. They tell you what they have, what they're doing about it, and do they need help. In this case, specifically in the report, they wanted a complete 360 degree of that building, Anyone who was there at that building realized that would have been difficult that night for the initial crews while trying to make the rescues. But that is part and parcel of what we do in the fire service. All officers are trained in incident size-up per the incident command system. Company officers and firefighters maintain crew integrity when operating in the hazard zone. This is something that firefighters are taught in the academy, and we continue to emphasize at every structure. Every time they're in an immediate danger to life, hazard, or safety environment, to maintain crew integrity. That means that you keep track of the people that are with you, and the company officers do that, and then the battalion chiefs, chief officers, and what we have, what's called the SOC, the accountability, checks on the location and operations of companies. And what they were saying at that time, we lost crew integrity. Firefighter Torres became separated from his crew. Fire department operations, fire officers and firefighters properly trained and utilized in the principles of air management and fire ground survival procedures. That is something that we do on a regular basis as well when our members are coming through the academy. And then on a weekly basis, there is a Mayday drill where alternating companies and alternating battalions will practice air management. These are safety and survival techniques that we teach our firefighters. Fire department operations include standard operating guidelines and procedures for operating in basements and below grade fires. These are things that are covered in regular firefighting, but what we found from the Valley Street fire is that this was a deep-seated fire with a large fire load with a partition wall. So there was a delay in the application of water initially. This is something that we attempt to address in training. This is something that we address with our officers to be on the lookout, to be aware, and report any changing or difficult conditions back to command so that they can make those adjustments. Fire officers and firefighters are trained in Mayday operations. From the academy and ongoing, members are trained in the Mayday operations. The Mayday operations in that procedure of the notification that he was in trouble, he was the first person that told us he was in trouble, then a second Mayday being transmitted by his officer, gave us his location and gave us the condition that he was in. As it relates to Mayday operations, what the follow-up needs to be is that accountability again on our actions going forward, that we practice more and more the removal of downed firefighters. It's something that we have done in this department in the past. We need to augment that and increase it and do it even more. So firefighters, there's going to be more training and continued training. Rapid intervention team. So a rapid intervention team is a standby crew on arrival at any of these incidents that if a firefighter is in trouble, their only job is to remove them from the fire. At the Valley Street fire, a RIT company was assigned, but a RIT company also went to work. What we've done now is, since that time, is we've assigned a second truck company to those incidents, and their principal job is to be the rapid intervention crew. And if there is a use of that rapid intervention team, then the incident commander can also order another company or have them replaced on the scene. But better accountability for the rapid intervention team. The response plans include a dedicated and trained incident safety officer. In the past and currently, the training school director has been the incident safety officer. That night it was Antonio Almodovar who did respond. What we've done in the past, in the future now, is that we assign that safety officer from the school, and at night we are going to continue to work on a permanent training for safety officers and assign that task and train up not only our incident management technicians, but those officers as well in the SOC for safety officer duty until the arrival of that safety officer. Operational battalion chiefs are staffed with an incident command technician. That's what that ICT is in that report. Incident command technician or a staff aide. That is something that that is something that I believe President Rosado said that we have to work with management and the administration, whether that is going to be staffed out by another person or whether that is going to be an augmented position. We are currently in contract negotiations. That is something that we will have to work out. But in terms of having an incident command technician, there may be a person that's already on the scene that can handle those duties. Currently, the SOC, which was that red truck that was behind me, when I became the fire chief here, we created what was called a Special Operations Command, and that was to include an officer and a firefighter to assist the deputy chief at that time. What this report is saying that the battalion chiefs may need the aid or need the assistance. So we will address that going forward. And then the implementation of training, education, professional development, and programs that are based on each rank. What happens in the fire academy when folks come out of the academy, they receive their baseline training. Our folks then, if they are seeking higher ranks and offices and positions, they take tests, and those tests are based on our SOGs, based on a knowledge base, if you will. And so what needs to happen, we've offered a ton of professional development and training for all of our officers that want to take it, including Fire Officer 1 and 2. We also offer incident safety officer training opportunities. The alders have been tremendous in funding our line for training every year, and we use it. We send our members for that training. But there may be some programs that we can do in-house to ensure that we do a better job of getting that type of training out. So based on those recommendations, we have addressed the size up and risk assessment. Every year, our firefighters go through their live burn training down at the training school. It's an annual required assessment where they also get to practice size up and risk assessment. In this particular fire where they said that the size up was incomplete, I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm just saying based on the conditions of them arriving at a fire with a large number of reports of people being trapped and attempting to perform the size up and also perform the rescue, I believe they made the right choices in that area and rescued the young lady that was living there. In terms of crew integrity, we cannot reinforce this enough with our officers. We've learned that lesson. We also want to make sure that during our drills that we practice that and reinforce those skills as well. In terms of air management, again, I said earlier, we do a drill with all of our battalions on a rotating basis with our battalions on a weekly basis. We're going to seek to increase that so that it spread to all of the members of the department. A new SOP or SOG, Standard Operating Guideline for basement fires, is under draft, and we were attempting finalization, but again, we wanted this report. If there was anything that we were going to miss, it doesn't stop us from doing our job. We increase our safety, but we want to make sure that we're doing it right and putting the right information out, specifically for basement fires. In terms of Mayday, I spoke about the Mayday training. We're going to do additional rapid intervention training where we're doing hands-on removal of our members. Some of the things that the report didn't ask us to do, but we did them anyway, was firefighters, when they are involved in a fire, many times people know that we suffer from carbon exposure. What they don't know is from burning plastics, we suffer from hydrogen cyanide as well. So now those hydrogen cyanide kits, both the testing kits for our folks to test the air while our firefighters are operating, but we also have the SHARPS team, which are the emergency doctors from Yale, respond on our multiple alarms, or anytime a Mayday is transmitted, we're getting ER physicians to the scene. That's something that we are doing now based on the sacrifice of Ricardo Torres. Part of the incident command staffing is also the callback of an additional deputy and battalion when we go to multiple alarms, to not only assist with the callback, but to provide additional supervision in the city, and if also needed at the fire, we can utilize them. We've increased our technology. We now have a relationship with the PD, their drone team, for any of our difficult or multiple alarm fires to be dispatched immediately, and I want to thank Chief Jacobson for that. And not only that, our brothers and sisters in blue that have supported us throughout this, I cannot thank you enough. It's been 4 years and they still continue to support our department. We also have, we had an issue with a hydrant that was up there that was addressed immediately, but since then, Chief Coughlin has developed a hydrant program. Some of you will know that the fire department can now issue tickets for blocked hydrants. We also asked for our neighbors and friends to adopt hydrants as well, to make sure that they're painted and clearly marked, to speed up the access to water in us responding to fires as well. Increasing our rehab and making sure that we time our members when they come out, that we are tracking them. We've bought several pieces of equipment, which are high-performance misting fans. We are also issuing electrolyte rehydration packs so that when our members are coming out, we're making sure that we're rehabbing them, we're refreshing them before we send them back into the building if necessary. We've upgraded our rapid intervention tools so that we've added new angle grinders so that if we get a building that's fortified, which in this case, the first arriving companies that are trying to go through the front door, the occupant of the front door had stacked a dresser and some other stuff there. It was a person that lived alone that had been broken into before. And rather than going through the front door of the house, she always went through the back door of the house now. As the fire department, we don't know that. So arriving on the scene, trying to get into that front door, knowing that someone's trapped, can delay the application of water. And so now we've equipped our members not only to be able to force fortified windows, but again, to call out when they're there. We've also switched up how we use our paramedics at these fires as well. Our paramedics will respond on the first alarm. Once we are backed up and supported by AMR, if they provide us with a paramedic, then those paramedics go to work, which gives us an additional 2 members to assist in the firefight. Per alarm, it'll go up another and another. So at a second alarm fire, you would end up having a 4-person crew that you could also augment your rapid intervention crew. I'm going to stop there because I want to be able to take questions, and I just want to say that the life of Ricardo Torres is not a lesson, it's a legacy. This report reaffirms many things that we already know. One is that there's no substitute for preparation, leadership, and immediate action. Every change we've made reflects our unwavering commitment to keep our firefighters in the community and the city of New Haven safe, prepared, and respected. We will never forget, and we will never stop improving. I'll take your questions. I can barely hear you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question as far as crew integrity. It says that the Engine 6 lieutenant, was in charge that night. Do you think, and you mentioned this as far as professional development, that there may be more training required before people are promoted in the department to make sure that in incidents like these that they have the right, I don't know, and but just that situations like this wouldn't happen again to make sure that they are always.
Sure, so there's a difference between training and experience. Yes, all of our members are trained in crew integrity, like I said, from the beginning, from the absolute beginning. I have some of the instructor staff here now, and believe me, I've seen the training that they're doing down there. Crew integrity is something, it's bred into us. I've been in this business 40 years. Crew integrity is still an issue. Whether it was training, whether it was lack of experience, we don't know. We do know that at that night, when we first heard that radio call from Ricardo Torres, that he was disoriented, that crew was separate at the time. Yeah.
And were there any, because it did make note of the incident that happened leading into that for that crew, were there anything from your experience with the CSP report, this report, that you're noting that could have been done differently by that particular crew of 3?
From the CSP report and now what we have through NIOSH, I remember the radio transmissions. I was there that night when the officer said that they were coming out. When officers make that, that's a benchmark for us. And so once they make that statement, someone's waiting on the outside to make sure, it's usually the SOC officer or some other assigned accountability officer that says, okay, Engine 6 is out, your crew goes to rehab. Whether that happened specifically that night in that order, did not happen in that order. When the transmission went out, that Ricardo Torres was disoriented, he specifically said, I'm turned around in the building. Yeah.
And then I think the last question I have for you now is there was a lot of crews that went in and eventually were able to locate both crew members, but a lot of crews had to turn around because they ran out of air, and air management is one of the things here. Do you look at perhaps getting larger air quality tanks for your crew while you're in there so they have more air while they're on these types of rescues?
Sure. So we looked at that even before we ordered our new tanks. Believe it or not, we ordered new tanks before this tragedy. We looked at larger tanks as opposed to the tanks that we have now. There's a trade-off. There's a trade-off in the amount of air that you're going to put on a person, the weight that it carries, and also now giving them extra air to keep them in the building longer. There's a new standard. It used to be 25% in your air pack and your alarm went off, your vibrator went off. The new packs now are designed at 33%. So that, again, when that goes off, but sometimes there's muscle memory. People will try to stay in longer. We don't want them to. So we looked at that. We looked at it as a study. There was an extensive study done before we made the purchase of our new equipment. That air management is not just about having the number of bottles, but how that individual is utilizing that bottle. And let's just say someone who doesn't exercise a lot as much as I do, or someone who is physically fit, we could still have different consumptions of air based on what we're doing and what our assignment can be. In this case, after it happened, we had already started putting extra bottles on the SOC, which you've seen, that Special Operation Command. We put extra bottles on our trucks so that no one coming out could have a bottle, would have an issue with a bottle. When the Mayday was transmitted, we had members who had already come out of the building that heard the call for the Mayday that went back in. They had already started to expend that bottle. There was also a difficult time of getting him out. He was found right near a window, but there was a difficult amount of energy exerted to try and get him out while the fire was still burning. So there were rapidly changing conditions. Initially, it was not high heat, it was a lot of smoke. As they continued to stay in the building to attempt to remove now 2 individuals, not just Ricardo Torres, but Samad Rankins. The multiple crews attempting to make those rescues were depleting their air rapidly.
What were the size bottles on that night, and what are the new bottles?
We're doing the 35-minute, and we're going to stay with the 35-minute bottles. Yeah.
Is that the old ones that were used before the 35 minutes?
Correct. 35 is the capacity. Yeah. The new bottles have a new style frame and different telemetry and heads-up displays.
Chief, when you look at the report, the biggest takeaway, whether it's one or two things, just for you.
The biggest takeaway for me, it broke my heart. It was a tragedy. This was something that no firefighter or fire chief ever wants to experience. That was the biggest thing. It was a combination of a firefighter being disoriented and transmitting a mayday and attempting to get them out. The biggest takeaway for us in the entire department is to consume that entire report. I know our staff has. There were issues. We haven't had the report for 4 years. And then when we were told we were going to get the report, NIOSH, there's a question about whether that will even exist anymore. I'm not going to get into the political thing, we'll be here all day. But we don't even know where NIOSH is going to reside. We worked through the CAO's office and the mayor's office to kind of put pressure on them to get this report out. But again, to get the report out, we're consuming it almost within the same times that our members are as well. Thank you, Matt. I want to thank the members of the department that are here. I see you. I appreciate you being here.